Haven't made a video in about a week, so I figured I'll just make a video while I'm kind of just hanging out with Pop-Tart right here. I have done a little bit more research on the behavior of how green anacondas are and how a lot of the yellow anacondas are. They're a little bit more different than the basic ball python, your colubrids, and your boas on the way that they kind of present themselves if they feel threatened or scared or anything like that. So one of the things that I'm seeing is that most snakes will kind of coil up and make like an S shape with their necks, kind of signifying that they might strike at you or, you know, nip at you or bite you or something like that. But I've been talking to some people and reading that anacondas, both the greens and the yellows, have really, um, she's going kind of crazy right now, which is fine with me. But right behind their jaws, they have some pretty powerful, like right in here, they have some pretty powerful muscles, um, more so than other snakes. So what normally happens is they don't like make an S symbol, kind of like like a loaded spring, and then they spring out at you. They basically just use their powerful these muscles behind their necks, and they can just strike at any time. So they can be super unpredictable, and you really won't know if they're going to strike at you or not until they actually do. And anacondas can, what I'm, you know, reading and stuff like that, can strike in any direction, and they can basically strike sideways, upside down, and full backwards, striking at something at their tail. So if she was facing, this way, and she felt threatened, she could whip around and strike my thumb or the back of my hand, with her muscles, and I wouldn't even be prepared for that, because how it is with most snakes is they would, I guess the term would be coiling up, and then you would know, like, hey, they're about to strike, and so you could prepare yourself. But anacondas, even as adults, can get, they can strike in at any direction. And I've been seeing a lot of people, if they just get like a normal bite, like a strike, not a feeding or a threatening, they just get aggravated or something, which I hope she doesn't do. They kind of start like nose bumping you. And then once they start bumping their nose on you, then you should start preparing yourself, because you're definitely going to get bit. And as of right now, I do this with all my snakes that I buy, um, as babies, because every one of my snake that I've had as a baby, was I hold them constantly. I interact with them as much as I can. If I get bit, then I get bit. I just try not to. I don't know why she's acting crazy right now. I don't know why they act, or I don't know why she's acting like this. It is nighttime, and I'm pretty sure that most snakes are supposed to be nocturnal and mostly active at night. But I haven't fed her in a little bit, and I really don't want her to have a feeding strike on me. But I take all my snakes out. I try to interact with them as much as I can, hold them as much as I can, touch their heads, touch their faces. Just pretty much so when they get bigger, they're used to it and they're accustomed to it. And it's not something new to them. It's not something that's going to stress them out or scare them or anything like that. And yeah, my floor is dirty. I need a vacuum. I got bedding all over the place. But especially with her, and how I'm reading how most temperaments are on green anacondas, they're hit or miss. And snakes, not just the green anaconda, it's what you put into them is what you're going to get out of them. So pretty much if you put the time into them, the respect, and the trust and stuff like that, then they'll give it right back to you for the most part. I don't think I would ever fully trust a snake no matter what it is, but I think I would do, I'd say 95%, because snakes can be unpredictable. They can get scared, they can have feeding responses, or they can just get annoyed and aggravated that they're being held, and they can bite you, nip you, and stuff like that. So when she does get bigger, which will be a couple of years, but I want her to know my handling techniques with her, so when I do hold her constantly when she's older and bigger, I don't have any issues. And when she's 100 plus pounds, 10 feet, etc., I don't need her harming me in any way because she's not used to me holding her, used to my activities with her. And even with my boas that are 5, 6, 7, 8 feet, they can do some damage. But I mean, let's just be realistic. I know a lot of people say, um, they're not, I wouldn't say they're deadly, but they can definitely put you into the hospital, and they can definitely um, put a bunch of stitches on you. That's 100% fact right there. But to instill a trust in these animals is the biggest key, where you can take your hands and you can just pick them up straight out of their enclosure, and they fully trust you, and they're not scared of you, and they don't feel threatened by you at all. And that's basically what I try to imprint on them or entrust in them as babies, so when they do grow up, there's less chance of an issue. I'm not going to say there's not going to be, because you're going to get bit. If you own a snake, you will get bit at some point. And if you own a big snake, you hope you don't get bit bad enough. So I just wanted to make a video of her. I'll probably spend the next another 20 minutes with her. Try to spend at least a half an hour, every couple of days with her, or an hour. Bump it up each time, depending on how her attitude is, because every snake has a different attitude. All my snakes show, you know, they could be in a bad mood, they could be in a good mood, they could be just not wanting to be touched or something like that, or just getting aggravated for being out for too long. But so far she's calmed down a lot. And I just wanted to kind of share with you guys of what the research that I've been doing on her, because anacondas, I'm finding, are very mysterious creatures. There's not a lot of factual information about them. There's a lot of myth and a lot of hype on these animals, but when it comes down to it, it's all hearsay, or it's all, well, this is what I've heard, or my buddy had this, or scientists, have done this research, but there's no real data to back anything up on these animals. So it's kind of different owning one of these if you're looking into buying one. So I'm basically just taking this animal day to day and just using it as a learning tool, because she's very she's curious and she is amazing, but since there's not hard data like there are on ball pythons, boas, and all these other animals, it's going to be a huge learning curve for me and a lot of people that own these animals. I mean, retics are huge, and which is, the longest snake in the world, and there's so many people that own retics. You can go into any reptile expo and you can see, 200-300 retics, and you can buy them right there. Anacondas, you'll see none, or maybe one in your state, depending on where you live and the laws and stuff like that. So not a lot of people have like years of experience with these animals, and if they do have years of experience, they're just breeders and people that are just breeding them, who keep them in like, like cages like this, where they don't get adequate really environment enrichment and stuff like that. But hopefully the people that watch my views, the subscribers, which I do appreciate, we can all go on this little journey together as she grows up, as she puts on some weight and some girth and her length, and we can see how her temperament is and how, just how she becomes over the next couple of years, which is extremely exciting for me. But I just wanted to make a video and just show talk a little bit about the anaconda and show how I interact with them and stuff like that. This is basically all I do with all my snakes right here. Just let them, I normally don't put them down on the ground because I want them to, have trust in me that I won't drop them, that I won't hurt them, harm them, squish them, squeeze them, or anything like that. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything like that, I'll try to answer them. And if anybody has a chance to hold one or own one, I would highly recommend it. Just know that they're very large animals as adults, and there's not a ton of information. But anything that's interesting that she does, that's new or good and bad, if she starts to get mean and nippy and stuff like that, I'll document it. And if she still stays as sweet as she is, I'll keep documenting and reporting that also. Anyways, hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Thanks for watching.